Sentele why down wits. I want sentele why down wits. Sentele why down wits. I want sentele why down.
Hold this man in the first place.
It is smoky book.
I was sent
It is taking there.
Telling you people there. This all in why down wits. What? Well, I don't really send the word down first the words for you. I know go understand. Certain work consider what's in the quality of Tribunal. So now Okonkwo, what's his name? The lawyer Kenneth Okonkwo is then church. What else? When interview the point do. Just stay tuned. I want you to. I will drop the video for you to watch. So that I will follow up it and you will do out details. I love you. I don't tell you if you know you are obedient. Hope you no panic. I know. Don't I tell you, what's sent to them why down wait here? Still are in the wait. I will drop the video, but come on, I will tell you one thing. What will next with the video? Watch them from the beginning to the end. Come on, know what you will do, like the video. Like the video so that I will think will go by here. Come on, subscribe, come on, comment. What you think about the Tribunal? So next don't go. Kenneth Okonkwo don't come out. You know that one is a sleeping cow. Now you don't wake up. Now I'll go inside as a dropper for you. Let's subscribe.
Anti-party, I campaigned for all the Labour Party candidates from the presidential to the House of Assembly. And they, the ones purporting anti-party activities, openly endorsed, openly campaigned for the candidates of other parties. In Ogun State, they frustrated us from even having a gubernatorial candidate. In Lagos State, they frustrated us from having the National Assembly candidates. The same thing in a lot of states around Nigeria. I won my polling unit. I won my ward. I won my local government. I won my state. I won the presidential election in my state. Let them come out and say the same. The people that are purporting to be officers of the Labour Party, they lost their polling units and they're opening their mouth. They're opening their mouth to talk about suspension. They are not ashamed. The NLC president called them rodents. Rodents are people that go to steal things and take things that are given to them, droplets, to survive. Now, my principal said the act is act of rascality. Can you imagine that old man at his age claiming to be a national chairman of a political party and he has not met the presidential candidate of the political party? He has not met him. And we just finished our presidential election. Can you imagine Atiku coming out to tell you that he has never met an IU? Can you imagine Ebola Tinubu coming out to tell you he has never met Senator Ademu, the national chairman of his party? And you're still taking such people serious. For crying out loud, I still maintain that they are political clowns. I don't know them. They don't know me. And my principal doesn't know them. They don't know him. So why should somebody refer to such a person as having anything to do with Labour Party? Is that not an insult?
I want to, you've brought up your principle now. That was one of the questions I was going to ask you about Mr. Obi's stance on the issues happening in the party, because you did reference, of course, the meeting that was held in Asaba Delta State, April 18th. That seemed to have the National Working Committee members, the state chairman, the secretaries. They were all present there, as well as Mr. Obi, party trustees, the NLC, the TUC also being present. And we've seen that the Bauchi NEC, let's be using locations for clarity, the Bauchi NEC has moved to suspend these individuals as well because they were present at that meeting. So coming to Mr. Obi now, you say he's used the word rascality to describe this situation. In terms of his stance, you're telling us right now that he's fully behind the Julius Aburi-led Labour Party. Beyond that, what is his stance in helping to finalize or to finish and sort out this particular leadership crisis or leadership challenge that's affecting the party?
All right. First of all, by Article 13(2)(a the composition of the NEC includes all the chairmen, all the secretaries of the states, all the members of the National Working Committee, and elected officials, and everybody. Now, 1/3 of the members of NEC is what you need before you form a quorum to do anything. And some people are in Bauchi brewing in some hotels and purporting that they are doing NEC meeting. I only saw the face of the old man. I only saw his face on television as people purporting to do NEC meeting. And when, like you rightly pointed out, in the Asaba NEC, the genuine NEC, you could see that all members of NEC were present. And so they passed legitimate resolution, filled up the vacancies, expelled them, as in disciplinary action against them, removed them from office. All those people playing anti-party activities, they were removed officially from Labour Party. And P2B made it clear that he stands by Julius Abure. He's made it very clear, unequivocally. And he has declared in an interview that he does not know and that the old man has never met him. And you can imagine the irony. It is mind-boggling. If they are not political clowns, help me. Give me a better word.
I think you're a man of many words, and I'm very sure you'll find the words for that yourself. Mr. Okonkwo, let's pick up where we left off. And there was a bit of conversation around your presidential candidate, Mr. Obi. And in the past month or so, he's found himself in the midst of a storm. And that storm comes from an audio which was leaked in early April, which seemed to shift the focus from the party's challenge of President-elect Tinubu's victory to statements Mr. Obi made in the run-up to the elections. And those statements were made in a private conversation with Bishop David Oyedepo. But now, Catch Ononuju, an advisor to Mr. Obi, told me on Politics HQ then that the audio was a deep fake. But you on social media, you acknowledged that the conversation was real, but that it was being spun out of context. And then just a few days ago, Mr. Obi did acknowledge that the conversation did in fact take place. And people are continuing to ask the question, what did he mean by describing the situation as a religious war? Let's start from there.
Right. First and foremost, thank you for that. And let me state it clearly. I neither confirmed nor denied anything about that tape. When I listened to that tape first, what I did was to listen carefully about what they said was the conversation. And after listening to the conversation, I came to the inevitable conclusion that there was nothing in that tape that will warrant my confirming or denying. And if you read my tweet, I describe the people who released that tape as political criminals who were trying to spin the tape as if it's a religious statement. There was no religious statement in that tape. First and foremost, you mentioned the issue of religious war. Let me state it clearly that in Christianity, there is no basis for any physical religious war. None at all. In Christianity, and I'm talking from the book in the Gospel of Matthew to the Amen in Revelation, there is no space, there is no reason, and there is nothing about physical religious war in Christian theology. I talk as a student of theology. When a Christian is talking about anything war, he's talking about spiritual warfare. In 2 Corinthians 10:4, he said, the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty through God to the pulling down of strongholds. The weapons of our warfare are not physical. Jesus Christ made it clear that the kingdom he brought on earth is the kingdom of heaven, and it has nothing to do with earthly kingdom. In Christianity, religious leaders are divided and separated from political leaders. It's only political leaders that can declare war. Religious leaders can only pray. So when a Christian is saying religious war, he's simply asking for prayers, because he is telling you we are in spiritual warfare. And a politician talking to a religious leader in Christianity, only two people discussing in a private conversation, and you're talking about incitement. Are you not unintelligent? Who and who is inciting who in a discussion of two persons that is meant to be private? So look at what they say, that Oyedeko said, which I love so much. He said, all Nigerians have equal stake in this nation, and nobody should tell anybody that he's dashing anything to somebody. So what is wrong with that? And people who are saying religious war forgot that in that same tape, my principal said he visited the traditional ruler of Ofa, who is a Muslim, a politician, talking about votes for people to support him in election, and somebody is saying religious statement. Let me say it again, that I'm not confirming or denying. I watched, listened to that conversation, and for the upteenth time, I became very proud of my principal again. They said they have been following what he was saying. And for 3 years, that is the best they can bring out. A politician asking for votes from people. Meanwhile, when they followed the presidential candidate of APC, they brought out about his being a drug baron, convicted by a court in Northern District of Illinois, which we are in the petition fighting, and the APC has not denied it. When they followed the presidential candidate of PDP, they brought out the SPV, where he was using SPV to siphon Nigerian money. And now the only thing you say you brought out about my principal is that he is asking people to help him in an election. This person they are talking about religious anything is a man that has a Muslim ADC from Kano, Idris Mohammed, the name. He had the commissioner of police, a Muslim from Kano. This is a man that built mosques for Muslims. This is a man that sent people to Mecca on Hajj when there was flood in Anambra State. This is a man that sheltered and quartered the Alpha community in the government house. And it was the Nation newspaper that said this. Okay. Now, this is a man who said, vote for me, not because I'm an Igbo, not because I'm a Christian, but because I'm a man of competence, character, and capacity. And
Mr.
somebody is talking about religious war. Let me tell you who is preaching religious war.
Mr. Okonkwo, because of time.
Presidential candidate, Muslim.
Mr.
Vice presidential candidate, Muslim. Senate president, Muslim. Speaker of the House of Representatives, Muslim.
I need you to hear me.
Muslim. Hey!
Mr. Okonkwo, I need you to hear me. Because of time, we need to be able to move on to some other issues because of time. But I will come back to what you said about the presidential candidates of the PDP, allegations there, as well as the president-elect now. That issue around conviction and return of money, there's clarity there. The party has said he's not convicted. He was not convicted by U.S. courts, but yes, he did return money as part of a deal with the government. So I need us to move forward. I need us to move forward because of time.
Is a fine. Returning money is a fine.
I need us to move forward because of time, so that we can get to a number of other issues before our time elapses. Before our time elapses, let's go back to one of the main criticisms of the party, and that, of course, has been an issue of a lack of party structure. It was a major criticism, and I do believe the last time we spoke, we also spoke about that. But there are those who are pointing to some of these internal issues right now, and it's reaffirming their criticisms of the party lacking a structure, that if it was a bigger party, or a party that had been around and had been in power, and tasted power in any ramification, some of these issues would not be happening. So would you agree, well, possibly not agree, but what do you think about the criticisms of this being a structural issue in the party, or as you have alluded to, you think it's much more than that?
No, in democracy, the people are the structure. The people are the ones that decide. We have never lacked structure in Labour Party. You describe Labour Party as a party that has come of age by your own description. And I agree with you. We've had a governor in Mimiko. We've had members in National Assembly, in state assemblies, councillors. So we don't have a problem with structure. What the problem we have is the invasion of our privacy by men and women, both by the ruling party that are threatened by our petition in court to destabilize us, to claim our mandate. What structure? No party won more states than us in the presidential election. So what structure? They stole our election, at least the one that IREF has reported. In Rivers State, in Plateau, they did the same thing. They swapped our votes. So we won in FCT. None of them got 25%. We won in Lagos, commercial capital, federal capital. So what structure? The people that have the structure of corruption and criminality and impunity, they could not perform better than us. So we are the first force in Nigeria. That is why they are doing everything possible to distract us, to divide us, to disintegrate us. But you know what? We are getting stronger and stronger by the day. We don't have a problem of structure. And we are going to be victorious at the end by the grace of God.
Okay, a prediction there. So another issue that we spoke about before was the gathering that came about Labour Party when Peter Obi joined the party. And there has been conversation about the party then turning into, as you mentioned earlier, SPV, a special purpose vehicle, a situation where it was more about unseating the ruling party than anything else. And you yourself were a member of the APC before you left them and then joined the Labour Party, I think a few short weeks later. But given out how the power situation and the power struggle situation has been playing out in the Labour Party, do you think the party can move beyond this? And what do you say to Nigerians who are watching all of this play out and who are saying there's a chairman here in Bauchi, there's a chairman who sat in Asaba and Delta State. There's a lot of confusion as to what exactly the Labour Party is now doing beyond the courts, the tribunal, waiting for the tribunal to sit on Monday, and then, of course, being able to move past this?
Well, the only thing I'm going to tell people is that there is nothing to move past. Because like I said, there is no crisis, there is no faction. So we are getting stronger and stronger by the day. Why are they interested in us if we're not getting stronger? Have you ever seen anybody casting a stone on a tree that has no fruits? It's because we have fruits. Nyafo, nyafo. That is why they want to cast stone on us. So the only thing I'm going to tell Nigerian people, especially the obedience, is that we are moving on. Nothing is going to stop this move for a new Nigeria. A Nigeria where the youths will get employment. A Nigeria where the green passport will be respected. A Nigeria where every citizen of Nigeria in any troubled country will be adequately evacuated before the calamity befalls him. A Nigeria free from religious and ethnic bigotry. A Nigeria free from the old order of corruption, of criminality, of impunity, which APC has become a symbol of. APC has failed in everything. Even in the census, they say they would do, they failed. 518 persons died in Zango Kataf local government within 6 years. APC has not removed oil subsidy that they promised from 2015. Is there anything APC has not failed on? 22-point-something trillion naira that they borrowed illegally by the words of Senate President, who is putting a stamp to that illegality. APC is a scourge on this country. It's an affliction.
Let's pull back from this.
And they hit again the second time.
All right, let's pull back from that a bit. Let's calm things down a little bit, Mr. Okonkwo. I want us to look at the coming week, and this week is going to be very important, particularly Monday, where we expect the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal to finally sit. Now, it's going to be sitting with just around 3 or so weeks to the handing over. There's been a lot of conversation. There are those who are asking that this tribunal be televised so that Nigerians can see transparency in the process and have more faith in the system. What do you think about those calls for transparency and the televising of the tribunal?
It is not only desirable, it is also constitutional, because the Constitution said that our court should sit in public. So they should not deny the Nigerian people and international community their right to watch live what is happening. In Kenya, I was in my room and watched what was going on in the presidential election. And being a lawyer, immediately I heard the intro and where they were going. I knew where the case was going to go. Everybody saw it. In the United States, President Trump was indicted, a president of America, and it was seen by everybody. When he was going in, it was broadcasted live. Why wouldn't we do live broadcast? We should do it. It is desirable, and in my own opinion, it is constitutional. Then the next thing is that there should be an urgent amendment of the Constitution. If the Supreme Court can assume jurisdiction, original jurisdiction, for the Naira redesign, because they say it's affecting Nigerians, then the Supreme Court should assume original jurisdiction in the issue of the Presidential Election Tribunal, so that from henceforth, we will be able to conclude it before swearing in anybody as president. So the Supreme Court, it should be amended, should immediately assume original jurisdiction, because electing the president is the most important thing in a country, because the president is carrying the dignity, carrying the prosperity of the nation on his back. So the Supreme Court, being a policy court, should from henceforth assume original jurisdiction to try the issues emanating from Presidential Election Tribunal and give final judgment. That's the way it's done in Kenya and in other countries, so that we don't have this issue about swearing in somebody unconstitutionally only for the courts to begin to fight with the executive then on how to deliver justice. So please, that is what Nigerians must insist on: public hearing of the presidential election in court, and that election must be concluded, especially the presidential election, before swearing in anybody.
All right, Mr. Okonkwo, before I let you go tonight, it's Monday. Many people have been waiting for us. We are definitely waiting for the tribunal to sit as well. What do you think your party's chances are? What do you think Peter Obi's chances are when it comes to this petition tribunal? There is a deadline for once they sit, how long it's meant to take, but that's going to elapse after President-elect Tinubu is sworn in. What do you think the chances are for Peter Obi and the Labour Party at the tribunal?
If they should give us justice, if the court of justice will live up to its true bidding of being a court of justice, I will tell you, by the grace of God, Peter Obi will be the next president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
And it looks like you want to give me a short answer this time around and leave it at that. Thank you so much. No, it's fine. I mean,
the Constitution is very clear in section 134(2)(b). If you don't make 25% in the Federal Capital Territory, you ought not to be declared the winner. That one is very express. And but you know, of course, about the nomination.
But it's interesting you bring this up, because we've had the conversation with lawyers around treating the FCT as a state, giving it this priority position, which becomes not an and/or thing, but a definitive 25%, and with the FCT 25% as well. So it's going to be interesting to see if we can lay this to rest with the tribunal and possibly with a further final judgment at the Supreme Court.